What's up, guys? It's your girl, Deanna Green, and we are back with episode 6. And this one, man, when I tell y'all we are about to get spicy, it's about the room temperature is probably going to go up about 20 degrees up in here because the topic we have today is uncensored and untamed, reclaiming our bodies, desires, and the right to be wild. So first off, make sure that you are subscribed, you share, comment, and like, because tonight's episode, baby, is about to be truly real, raw, and authentic. And y'all know, first off, how I do it. I never introduce my guests. Why? Because I want these beautiful women to tell you themselves who they are and not what they do. So look how beautiful. First off, let's just talk about, I just have to go off script a minute. Let's just talk about this look. When I told homegirl what our topic was about, did she not deliver? Baby, I know y'all got to hit a whole bunch of hearts and likes, throw us some fire signs because she's on fire tonight. So welcome.
Thank you.
Let the LBR community know who you are.
I am Tania Jordan, your guest this evening, and let me tell you, I'm excited to be here to talk about sex in our bodies.
Yes! Oh my goodness. All right, so first off, y'all know what we have to do is, because this is going to be spicy and hot and juicy, salacious, just all of those things, we got to get our toast in. So you ready, girlfriend? Because I feel like some parts of this conversation, we might even need a little bit of liquid courage.
Yes.
What you say? Right. Cheers.
One more sip.
Oh, yeah, one more sip. Okay, one more sip.
All right.
Yeah, she better not let me drink too much because there's no telling what this conversation is going to turn into. I feel like you remember how when Martin, after he would drink something, he goes, yeah. That's how that hit me. Miss Tania Jordan.
Yes.
So, first of all, you have been here in Houston for now about 2 years?
2.5 years.
And you came from where?
I came from Pittsburgh, but Philadelphia is always my home.
Okay.
So Philadelphia, Pittsburgh.
All right. And tell us your marital status or your status.
I am married. I've been married for about 6-7 months.
Newlyweds.
Okay. Yes. We've been together for about 6 years.
Okay.
So it's going.
And then let's, if you feel comfortable, I know some women don't like telling their age. I don't have a problem telling mine, but and there's context behind this, because I also want you all to know that the conversation, this is not somebody that, in her 20s. This is somebody that has lived, her life and everything. So would you share with them?
Yes. So I am 43, about to be 44, and my husband is 60.
Ooh.
No shame in our game.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah. But it works out good. It's not just arm candy.
Yeah, that's right. All right. So listen, we're getting real, raw, and unapologetically sensual as we explore what it means for women, especially Black and brown women, to reclaim our sexual freedom, body autonomy, and pleasure without shame.
Yes.
Okay, so you ready?
I'm ready.
Be real, raw, and authentic.
That's
right? Okay. Let's jump right in.
Okay.
What were you first taught about your body and sexuality, and how has that shaped or limited your ability to experience pleasure today?
Well, the ironic thing is I was not taught anything.
No, I think that's good because believe it or not, most Black and brown women, just even doing research, our mothers didn't discuss those types of things.
Yeah. So my mother, she didn't, the only thing she ever said was don't do it.
Yeah, mine was don't get pregnant.
Don't get pregnant. But that was it. It was never a reason why. Well, don't do it so you don't get pregnant. So we just never had that conversation. It actually wasn't until I was about 13 years old where I was spending time with my stepmother, and I used to keep a journal, and she was going through my journal, and she told me, she said, you know what? You don't need to be worrying about boys. You don't need to be worrying about anything but school. She said, if you want to take care of yourself, you need to go and get a vibrator. I didn't even know what a vibrator was.
Okay, wait a minute, because I'm like Kevin Hart. Now we just not gonna skip right on over that part right there, right? We're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
13 years old.
Yeah.
What are you writing in your journal at 13 years old about obviously sex, or that prompted her to have that conversation?
Yeah. So it wasn't that I was writing about sex.
Okay.
For actually a lot of girls even now, no matter what their age is, when their father is missing in their life, we have what they call daddy issues. And so she's saying that I was longing to at least have somebody there to talk to. I think that for her, she was just jumping ahead of the game to say, hey, if you're even thinking about it, don't do it. There's other ways to take care of yourself so that you don't have to go that route. Because at that time, I wasn't having sex.
Right.
Yeah, she was just, I think, thinking ahead for
That's
me.
That's good. It's actually good.
Yeah, to prevent that. So, I mean, to this day, I thank her for it because it gave me a chance. Like, I just didn't rush out to want to go and have sex because of that. She definitely taught me to take care of myself first.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then she says, now we're going to go back to the juicy part of that, right? So the juicy part was, you got a stepmother that says, if you want to start learning how to pleasure yourself, you go out and you get a vibrator. Okay. So 13 years old, you don't know what that is. Did y'all go shopping together? Did she bring it home to you? Like, did you actually get a vibrator at that time?
So I looked it up because I'm like, at 13, like, well, why would she say that? And I'm sure if my mother knew, she wouldn't have been happy. Right. But yeah, I mean, I looked it up and I brought one and I experienced. But the thing is that a lot of kids experience with their bodies earlier than 13. Kids start touching themselves before 5 years old, right? Because they're learning to explore the feeling of touch and things like that. And so it's not that it was a bad thing, like we all want to make it like taboo. It was actually a good thing. Like, here, learn yourself before you go out here and you start having sex and thinking that you want to be with somebody and maybe they're not pleasing you and then you're bouncing around to somebody else. For me, I took it as learn your body. Yeah. Before somebody else comes and you trying to get them to learn your body.
Right. Inappropriately, uncomfortable. You might even be uncomfortable in that process. I 100% agree with it, mainly because as we go on this episode, that I know women, personally or indirectly, that have expressed that at 40 and 50 years old, they've never even had an orgasm. But they've been in multiple relationships where an orgasm should have happened at some point.
Especially at this age.
And then I'm thinking, okay, well, if the orgasm doesn't happen with someone else, you mean to tell me you haven't had an orgasm with yourself?
Yeah.
So that goes back to, then you're not even really comfortable with your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's not even always like that you have to use a toy. I really think that you should start with just setting the mood, knowing what you like. Do you like it light? Do you like it dark? Are there certain smells that turn you on?
Or sounds.
Sounds that turn you on. And just, just touching yourself, because if you're with somebody, they're not going to, be using toys. It's always going to be about touching and connecting,
smelling, all of that, listening, all of that, right?
Yes. So, it's like, okay, you touch yourself, you know what you like. And yes, the feeling is different when somebody else touches you, but at least know that.
Yeah. I 100% agree. Okay. So 13, you got your first vibrator at this point, right?
Yes.
When was your first time for intercourse?
Ooh. That probably wasn't until about 15.
Okay.
Yeah, about 15.
Okay, so 15. Now, obviously, most of the time when it's your first time, everybody's awkward. But if you're somebody that already has been in, the setting of, touching, knowing what you like and everything, how was that first experience for you?
You know what? We were 15 years old. We don't know. It was quick. It was fun. It was like, we gotta hurry up before we get caught. We don't even know what we doing. So it's not like it was a high school sweetheart. Like, it was just like, it happened at 15 because we think we know what we're doing. Because we think we're in love. Because we think that's what we want, So to look back at it now, what was the experience? I have no idea.
Right.
But I'm sure back then I probably thought it was the greatest thing. I probably thought I was in love with him. Wanted him to page me on my pager 100 times. Like, let's go.
Right. Okay. Why is society comfortable profiting from sexualized images of women, but uncomfortable when we claim that same power for ourselves? So breaking that down, first off, let's just talk. Why do you feel society is so comfortable profiting from over sexualizing women in general?
I think because is for as long as I can remember growing up, for the adult men, like uncles and men in the family, I've always seen them sexualize women, and it really became like, for us, was it okay, and is this okay? Because that's just what we seen growing up. Even in the older music, it was there, but we didn't really understand what it was.
Right.
Now the music is a little bit more raunchy, and they're way more upfront with it, and they seem to make it okay. It seems like that the women were like, well, the men been doing it for so long, so why can't we? Well, we can to a certain degree. I'm not sure why it's okay. I definitely have a problem with that because for me, I like to be free. I like to say things. I like to move a certain way. But just because I do, don't look at me and say, oh, that's not right for her to do because she's a woman. But then men turn around and then they do the same thing.
Right.
Like we want to be pleased. We want to have fun. We're grown. We're human, and people just take what men do and give it okay. And then when we do it, it's not okay.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, I think if you just think about sex as a whole, is a $1 trillion industry. And it didn't start 5 years ago. It didn't even start 50 years ago. If you just even look biblically and you look at the harems and the brothels and the orgies, for lack of a better word, that was even going on during that time. And you could always see where the men were always pretty much clothed and covered, but women were just, breast out and, just almost damn near naked. And so historically, that's just been the norm, and it's always been okay as long as men initiated it, or they put it out there, or they set the tone and things like that. And then now, yes, when you get through the suffrage era, where now women are having way more rights, that whether it's making decisions over our body, or whether we want to be married or don't want to be married, or now we can even be more open about if we like other women versus just being in a heterosexual relationship. And so when I look at it from that standpoint, I just think that it has always been that tone that it can be allowed as long as the man co-signs and he approves it. But the moment, like you said, that women, which is what they're doing now, reclaim it, it becomes an issue. The only issue that I have with it is when women use it and they weaponize it, right? So meaning, like, even with the rappers, it's like, so we can't say that a female rapper could be the best lyricist out there without her showing up with all her ass hanging out and all this, that, and the other. Or she can't spit bars without talking about sucking dick, or you know what I'm saying, doing all of these other kind of things. You can still be sexy and you can still be okay in your body and who you are. But I still think that we don't have to take it to that particular limit. And I think that that's why also for society, they look down on women, because it's like they feel men did it in a tasteful way. No, they didn't.
Men definitely did not do it in a tasteful way. I guess so much that women felt like it's time for them to step
Well, if they did it in a tasteful way, to be very honest, there would be pimps and hoes.
Yeah.
Because all of that is still sexualized. That's still over-sexualizing women, bringing it into the society. So my whole thing, and I love for a woman to be able to express herself all day long. Whatever, if you comfortable in it, it's like, if you like it, I love it, girlfriend. Doesn't necessarily mean that would be my cup of tea, right? But I think that the biggest issue that I do have is I just want women to make sure that in our power to reclaim our bodies, our minds, what we like, what we don't like, that we don't do it to our detriment.
Right.
Right. Because sometimes to our detriment could be, we still have to have common sense when it comes to what we wear, what we say, what we do, and environments that we put ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're also still in a society of where men feel that if you look a certain way, you sound a certain way, you show up in an environment a certain way, that you've given them permission to let that barbaric side of men come out, right? So I still feel as women where we want to have that power, we also still have to use common sense and discretion and know when is the right time for us to come out and show that power. When is the right time to wear something provocative? When is it the right time for us to speak freely about certain things? Because every setting is not the right setting. It's unfortunate, but that's our reality.
Yeah. Now, before I got married, just being young and single, moving around, I would definitely dress provocatively because I love my body and, I'm proud of it and things like that. But that always led to negative attention. I barbered for 20 years. So being around men every day and dressing a certain way in the beginning, it was hard for me because guys were coming at me for something that had nothing to do with barbering. So I knew then that I had to change the way I dressed to gain their respect. And I was able, to gain their respect. Now that I'm married, now I dress a little bit more provocatively because I'm married and my husband is with me. And trust and believe everything that I do put on is not that he has to approve it, but I check with him because I don't ever want him feeling uncomfortable. Because whether I'm with him or not, I'm out there and I'm representing him.
That part.
Yeah. And then, people will go back and say something. But for me, I'm comfortable in my body. I'm proud of myself. I come from a hard life, a long journey. And it's like who I am today. I'm happy about that.
Right.
I'm totally happy about that.
When I think there's respect that can come along, I feel woman to woman, is that when I can see that you're comfortable in whatever or whoever you are, it allows me to be comfortable with it. I think for me is when I can tell that if a woman shows up in a room or something and she's dressed a certain way or speaking a certain way, I can tell from body language that she's not comfortable in that. She's doing it either as a mask to protect herself or to act or to show up as if she is. And then that's when I have the issue. I'm like, baby girl, you're not even comfortable in this setting right here. So who are you doing this for right now? Because it's actually showing up in your body language and in what you're saying that you're not comfortable. I 100% also agree with, I'm like you. Like, I love the work that I put into my body. I love the fact, and I look at it for even DNA. Like I know that I have, large size women on my dad's side, on my mom's side. So I even know genetically what I'm up against. So for me to take pride in making sure that I keep my body looking a certain kind of way, I want to be able to dress a certain kind of way. I say, yeah, you can get Deanna, that could be Megan Thee Stallion out in the club, dropping it like it's hot, knees bent, all of that, but also know what to do when it comes to corporate America, right? I think the other thing is when you could just be unapologetically yourself. I told my husband, I think you and I talked about this, my husband, we paid for me to get some titties done, right? And then now I want to show the titties. And my husband's like, well, wait a minute. Why are you showing your... What do we spend? We spent almost 20 grand for these things. I want to show them. I didn't buy them. Just although there was some cosmetic things that I wanted to have done. But the other part of it is there's a level of confidence for me that comes along with it. The way I fill out my clothes and things like that. No, we're not going to hide that.
Yeah, same thing here. I was always a size 0 growing up. I was a bra size A. My cousin, he would tease me and say, "You're a lowercase A." I'm like, there is no lowercase A. There is no lowercase A.
I don't know. You just got just the knobs.
Yeah, just the knobs. But due to some health issues, I did decide to get some implants, but I always wanted implants
Mhm.
because I wanted to look and feel a certain way. But look, after having 4 kids,
Yes.
listen,
And them babies want to suck you dry.
yeah,
You ain't got no projection up here. It's just hanging down.
yes.
You 30-some years old, walking around with 70-year-old titties.
No, I want my
that?
body back. I want my body back. I want them to figure out their thing. And I just want to feel like that I'm a woman again, because we give up our life as like being a full woman for ourselves when we have children, because we're now a mother.
Mm-hmm.
So even when it comes to sex and performing, sometimes your kids get in the way of that.
Mm-hmm.
You try to get into it, then your baby crying, or you just thinking about them and things like that. So for right now, where I'm at in life,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like all about gaining it back and reclaiming my body and reclaiming my sexuality, because I love the woman that I am. I love the woman that I became. I'm excited about the things that I learned. And then I found out that there's a lot of things that I've discovered on my own that other women don't even know, that they haven't even experienced. When I talk to them about it and I tell them that these are things that happen, they're like, oh, you're a unicorn. No, I'm not a unicorn. I'm just somebody that became in tune with their body, and maybe you should too, because this is our body.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need the man to say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you should be. This is how you should perform. You have to figure that out.
That's right.
You need to know that.
That's right.
In order to show up.
That's right. How does faith, culture, and family expectations create conflict for women trying to embrace both their sensual and sacred selves? So you dealing with faith, culture, and family expectations, and the conflict that is created within women that doesn't always allow them to embrace.
I come from a family of preachers, deacons, deaconess. So when you talk about faith, I had my first child at 19 and I wasn't married, and my mother insisted that I get married, and I did. But
to the father.
Okay. Yeah. Even though we were good friends, it was a rush situation. So when you're dealing with faith, it's like, hey, you got to do this. It has to be this way. But it ended up not working out, and so that wasn't good.
How long were you all married?
We were married for about a year before I ended up leaving Philadelphia and going to Pittsburgh, because I was just ready for a new life.
So just stay right there on the faith side of it. Without your mother being here and being able to answer that question directly, do you feel, or what do you think she was trying to accomplish behind? I mean, at this point, you had technically already done had the baby out of wedlock, right? Or did y'all get married while you were still pregnant? Or
we got married while I was pregnant, but I already know what she was trying to do. She was trying to break generational trauma.
Okay.
And I'm okay with that. I'm definitely okay with that. And so that's another reason why I went ahead and I did that, because for me, of course, I also wanted the same thing for my children. But unfortunately, that's not what happened. And because that's not what happened, I have seen behaviors in my children where they've continued the generational trauma. And so I realized that, and it's something that I want to change, because I don't want it to keep going on into their children, So, but things are different now. So, when it comes to faith, I teach my kids what I teach them, and, take them to church and things like that. Unfortunately, they're all going to do what they want to do. I just hope that they do it respectfully, and that, they take care of themselves.
Yeah.
But no, people aren't doing it the way that they used to do it back in the day, like wait until marriage. And if I was young, I'm not sure that I would wait until marriage either, because I would want to know that it's working before we got into it, because you got to spend the rest of your life with somebody. I need to know what we're dealing with. I know everybody doesn't agree with that, and that they have their own faith-based reasons for that. And I respect that. But for me, I got to test it out beforehand.
Yeah, me too, child. Yeah. When I met my husband, he had the 3 rules, and his rules were he was never going to date anybody that he worked with. He wasn't going to date anybody that had kids, and he was never going to live with anybody before he got married to them, because of the background that he came from, and he also comes from long lineage of pastors and preachers and all the first ladies and all of that. And I was nobody like. One, we got to live together beforehand. I didn't even know how nasty you are beforehand, right?
Yeah.
Like for real. Like, did you just always cook dinner or have the house clean because you knew I was coming over?
Yep.
What does it look like when it's just you and I up in this house, right?
Yeah.
So that was important. Hygiene.
Yes.
Like I'm huge on hygiene.
Yes.
Like body smell. I don't know what it is. I feel like I have an overhyped, sensitive type of smell.
Yes, same.
But body, that played a factor in it. And so, and then even getting married, like I remember again, his mother is definitely by the book on everything. And she couldn't enforce too much of her views on my husband because at this point he's a grown man and we're living together and we're pregnant with Jordan and we now have plans to get married. But I remember like she wouldn't even. We had this big old house. It had like 4 bedrooms. This was big for us at that time. We 20-something years old and got a house or whatever. And her and my father-in-law would come into town, drive from Elizabeth City to Durham. She's like about 2.5 hours away. They would get a hotel. She would not stay at our house at all. Now, she never made me feel any kind of way about it, but that was just her belief. Now, once we got married, she would come up underneath our roof, but not while we were dating. Lending to the next part of it from the faith side of it, let's talk culture. Because I do feel that as there's different rules and different standards for different cultures, right? How do you feel just being as a Black woman, what our culture says or does or treats us when it comes to us being able to speak out and talk about our likes, our dislikes, our wildest desires?
For women, I feel like that we're shut down. I feel like that we can't talk about it. I feel like that if we do talk about it, that you could be viewed as a bad spouse, a bad girlfriend, a cheater, somebody that's disrespectful, or maybe you're telling too much of your business. And I don't think it's any of that. I think that I'm human, you're human, and that 99% of the time, the things that I'm saying to you, you wish that your wife or your girlfriend was saying to you, and you wish that they could be as vocal as I am and, express that. And so I think that a lot of people frown their nose up upon it because they don't know how to vocalize it or they don't have the same thing. I've been in relationships before where I tried to introduce toy play and guys did not understand that. They would think that they weren't enough, and that wasn't the case. The case is that if we're planning to be together the rest of our life, how are we going to keep this spark going
and keep it spicy?
Yeah, just because I say, hey, I want to play with toys, that doesn't mean, oh, you got a freak and you shouldn't be with her, or, oh, you have a freak, let me try her because you have a freak. I'm not your freak. I'm his freak.
Right.
I'm his woman. So yeah, I'm going to do what I have to do to make sure that he's happy, that I'm happy, and that whatever time that we have left together, it's exciting. There are a lot of people that wake up in the morning, roll over, they stick in and out, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that the woman can't even talk about how she really feels, and the man can't talk about how she feels. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I like what you just said, because I think one part of it is in a relationship, the woman should be able to be comfortable to talk through those things, talk about what she wants to do, introduce toys and things like that. But one of the things that you just said is it's even labels. So let's just talk even from the cultural side of why are you considered a freak? That you freaky because you want to bring in toys, or you want to bring in outfits, or you might not necessarily only want to do it the traditional missionary style. You might like it from the back. You might like being picked up. You might like, in a car, in the parking lot. Like, why is that freaky?
Rick James.
Is that what it is? Oh my God. I love that.
I think about Rick James, like super freak. Yeah, super freaky. And I'm like, no, I really don't know why it's considered being a freak. Like, we're only doing what we're supposed to do to please each other.
Right.
Because the thing is, if I'm not doing for you what I need to do to please you, and you're not doing what you need to do for me to please
Guess what's
me,
gonna happen?
you don't think we're going to want to go somewhere else and
Right.
get pleased?
Right.
And then let's not act like that you're not watching porn.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
let's like not pretend, 'cause that happens.
Right.
And everybody's like, oh, I'm not watching porn, but you are. And when you do, you like the stuff that's going
Right.
on in there. Okay.
Right.
So if you like the stuff that's going on in there,
Mhm.
let's just reenact it. You don't even
Mhm.
have to imagine
Mhm.
it. If I see that that's what you like, we can play that whole scene out and
Right.
it could be me and you.
Right.
Matter of fact, you could even call me somebody else's
Yeah.
name.
Yeah. And again, that should not be classified as you all of a sudden are freaky.
No.
I'm just here to please. I want to be pleased. I want to try something different. I don't want the same old sex every day, especially when it says that I'm going to be with you 40, 50, 60 years.
Yes.
Like, that's just like eating the same meal every day. Right?
Right.
Like at some point, your taste buds ain't even going to recognize that it's chicken and macaroni and cheese anymore.
Or at some point, you want to go to a higher end restaurant.
That's it. That part. Family expectations. Do you feel obviously that, and let's just talk, your mother, what you felt your mother's expectations were around you being sexual, dressing a certain kind of way, and now you have a daughter, right? So do you feel that your mother, or I think you've already answered it, but I'm just going to go on record with it, that your mother had way more stricter rules and expectations? And are you more lenient when it comes to your daughter?
I'm laughing because I wish she was here.
Okay.
My mother did have strict rules and expectations. I broke them all.
Oh my goodness. You were the wild child, huh?
I was the wild child. Totally different episode, daddy issues, but daddy issues really do play into that
It
too.
does.
So actually, no.
One way, and daddy issues don't necessarily mean that you are now somebody that is, again, and I hate labels because I think, again, it just puts us women into a box, but let's just go with what society says, that you might be more provocative, or you might be more over stimulated or over sexualized. But daddy issues can also make a woman become very nun-like, like don't show her whole body, goes into a hermit in a shell, doesn't even want that type of attention at all because they never got that attention.
Here's the thing about daddy issues. I do not have daddy issues if I'm out here being provocative, freaky, having sex. Me and my dad wasn't fucking.
Right.
So why the hell is that a daddy issue?
Right.
Right. So when I say daddy issues, because people do say, oh, she got daddy issues because she's out here being promiscuous. No, she got daddy issues because she's looking for love. It just so happens, protection.
Yeah, provider. Right.
It just so happens that this man knows that he can tell her whatever and also get sex out of her because she has those issues.
Right. Because she's looking for, a lot of times it's that love and that attention, that protection, that provider. All of that, yeah, I agree.
But no, my mother did have different expectations of me. But my mother also, when you know your kid, you know your kid, and so my mother knew me. So I was just one step ahead of her, but she was on my heels. But when I had children, I then experienced some of the things that I was putting my mother through. And it was like, damn, you really getting a taste of your own medicine. Because that girl, she was one step ahead of me. I was on her toes, But I'm glad that for my oldest, that she realized early enough in life that this is not what I want and that my mother was right. My youngest daughter, who is my little mini me, we often bump heads, but she does understand the things that I tell her and why I tell her. If she still want to be a teenager and do what she wants to do, of course, but to some degree she does allow myself to give her advice and to listen, and I hope that it works, because the biggest thing, and will always be, is to break generational curses.
Right.
But when it comes to sexing your body, to love yourself, to know these...
You stand 10 toes down on that.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah. So you've had those conversations with your daughter. So you got the introduction, so to speak, as far as from an adult at 13. When's that first conversation that you had with your daughter about learning her body, sex as a whole, attention from boys, using our feminine power? Because I think that's the other big part of the way society looks at it, is we women truly have a feminine power, not just when it comes to business or, running a family and all of that, but we have that power when it comes sexually as well. What are you teaching her, and how early did you start having those types of conversations?
As soon as they get their period. And sometimes, depending on when a girl gets their period, you might have to have it sooner, because some girls do get their period late.
But for you and your daughter, it was. And how old was she?
The first kid, she was 7, and the second girl, she was.
Wow, your first daughter had hers
she was about
7.
Wow. Yeah, so that was really a scary time.
Yeah,
that was really
that
a scary
time. That would have freaked me out.
And so it did freak me out, because remember, at 7, in these early stages, you're still trying to learn your body. And even though I'm telling her things, she's still a kid. So I'm allowing her to be a kid, do elementary stuff.
Right.
But in the time of this elementary stuff, we had phones coming out, internet coming out, things becoming more accessible. So unknowingly, I'm up against this.
Yep. And it was. So you got to get ahead.
Yeah. So it was like I had to get ahead. But I just didn't know what all I was up against, So with her, it was a little bit of a struggle. Now with my daughter, who's 16 now, it's a little bit different, because we know what's out there on the internet. We know the access that they have. The music has changed. So it's a little bit different. So my conversation with her is different. I'm a little bit hard in the way that I speak, but that's because I want to be firm, and I want y'all to be fearful. Don't be fearful of me to come and talk to me, but be fearful of what I'm telling you, and know that like this stuff is true, and that it could potentially hurt you and not help you. But guys, the boys, they they have a tendency to get into these girls' ears, make them feel comfortable, and having them think that everything is okay. And then the girls are like, I don't care what my mom said. My mom doesn't know. He's going to make me feel good, and this is what I'm going to do. So I just really try to stay up in their ear and remember, like, look, you are a woman. You have power over your body. There is nothing a man can say to you to make you have to open up your legs. That is not how you get help. That is not how you get conversation. Like, you just don't have to open up your legs for that. We can be sexual, and we can be cute. We don't have to open up our legs. We don't even have to be touched.
Nope.
And we can still get what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, I told y'all this is just the first half, that it was going to get hot and spicy. I definitely feel like we've at least raised the heat by at least 10 degrees so far. So we're going to go to break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to get a little bit more. We ain't going to go triple X rated, okay? But we might go like, I think we've already kind of touched a little bit on R-rated. We might go like maybe 1X or something like that, okay? 2. See? I told y'all I got trouble over here. All right, guys, we want to give a special shout out and thank you to one of our amazing sponsors, the Biz Lounge, which is where we're shooting this podcast. Make sure you take a look at this video, schedule a tour, come on out. We've got some amazing things happening here at the Biz Lounge. All right, we'll be back. The Biz Lounge is redefining the concept of workspaces by incorporating state-of-the-art technology with ergonomic designs in a space to foster creativity and productivity.
It's not just a workspace. This is a dynamic ecosystem designed for growth, inspiration, and connection.
We'll see you at the Biz Lounge. Welcome back, guys. And listen, if you're just now tuning in, you have to make sure that you start this video from the very beginning. You don't want to miss the introduction, and you certainly don't want to miss the first 3 to 4 topics that we got into, because we set the stage. Miss Tania and I, I think we got a little loose now. We've had a little bit of liquid courage.
Yes.
We talked about just, society and culture and family, and just how all of those elements can shape how a woman feels comfortable in expressing her sexuality, talking about her desires, and certainly wanting to be wild and free without having labels like freak and hoe and even bitch and just all of those negative connotations that come along with when all we want to do is just be us. And being comfortable in your skin sexually, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
We are sexual beings.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can deny it. Even I'm sure even them damn nuns want to get hit from behind once or twice, at least a year. I'm just saying.
I'm sure they might be.
Like Lisa just say it happened, Lord, forgive me this one time, that type of thing, right? Like first of all, he made us naturally to even procreate.
Yes.
So how do you procreate?
Right.
We got to get
we got to do it.
We
Right.
got to do some things, right? Oh my God. All right, guys. So listen, first off, from breaking taboos to healing from shame, this episode is your permission slip to be bold, liberated, and wildly in control of your feminine power. And we talked about that before we went to break, right?
Yes.
I think that is such a big part of when a woman truly can be comfortable in her own skin from a sexual standpoint, walk authentically in her desires, her wants, and her needs when she taps into that feminine power.
Yes.
When do you think you tapped into your feminine power? Truly. Because here, and this is why I say this, is because I think that even when we're in our 20s, like I remember in my 20s, I've always been shapely, even being as small as I am, 5'2". Even when I was in junior high and high school, I've always had curves naturally. I'd always had a nice, even before prior to getting the breast implants, which were more so for lift, right, and projection. But I've always had breasts. And so that attention automatically came to me, certainly when I wasn't even looking for it. And I remember, like, I would push it away. And when I got into corporate America, and I was now having to wear business suits, right? And I'm watching all of these other women, and it's the suits with the short skirts and things like that. And, and pants and everything kind of really tailored to show your body. I remember even when I was in that setting in my 20s where I could feel like I wanted to lean into that. And I knew that there was power in how I looked naturally. But I would do stuff like wear a suit jacket, and I would automatically wear a shell or a top that came up. Like, you won't gonna never see even a little bit of that
cleavage.
Oh, hell to the no. Because again, and not realizing it, I think just my upbringing and again, society at that time, I had this mindset that if I show up that way, and especially because I was in a lot of male dominated industries, as far as especially when I got into management, there was always only one of me in the room. It might be I'm the only female. And most certainly in certain management roles, I was the only Black or brown woman in that room. So I've already got all these other things stacked against me. And now I walk in and I want to be in my sexy corporate, work attire. And I would always lean to if I show up this way, they're not going to look at my brain. They're not going to listen to what the value that I bring.
Right.
All they're going to be focused on is what's happening here.
Right.
Right. So I ask you that from the feminine power side, because I know I truly did not tap into my feminine power and owning it until late 30s, early 40s. What do you think it was for you?
So I'm going to go all the way back to childhood. I remember being in elementary school and fighting with my mother because she wouldn't let me wear heels to school.
Whoa, in elementary school?
I'm like, why won't you let me wear these heels?
You might have been tapped into your feminine power way long too early.
Okay. But she would buy me heels because I love dress up. I used to model as a young girl. I was really, really into fashion, and so she liked doing those things. So I tried to tap into it. Then she was like, "No, sis, you're too young." So that didn't work. Just throughout life, like you said, in the corporate business, I knew that I had to calm myself down because I already looked young. I knew that I was pretty. I needed them to hear me. I don't need you to see me.
Right.
And so I knew that I had to tone it down. But once I got into barbering.
Yeah, because you got to lean all the way into that.
Yeah, listen, I got into barbering and I loved it. The first few years, it wasn't like that. But once I got my breasts done, and then I got my nipples pierced, and I realized that the guys, once they got past the disrespect, I just realized that they really did value my worth because they knew who I was, and that people were not looking at me and just walking up to me and looking at my breasts and like, oh, she got her nipples pierced. Of course people were, but they just weren't saying it to me.
Right.
You know, people appreciated, even the guys appreciated that I loved myself, that I loved my body, that I carried myself in a certain way. Yeah. And that I wasn't running around. And so that's where a lot of the respect came from, because I looked like that, but I also wasn't running around. I thought that I had tapped into it then, but I honestly didn't tap into it until about 40. So
3 years ago, almost 4 years ago. Yeah.
So that's really when I tapped into it. And some of it I give like the credit to my husband, because he's more of a mature man, and he has allowed me to be a certain way, and he protects me. And so I'm happy about that. But definitely at 40 is when I was able to explore more and be okay with it and want to learn more. And so now at 43, 44, I'm trying to figure out like what else is out there? What else can we do? How else can we make this exciting and keep it clean and keep it respectful and stuff like that? Yeah. Because like I said, we have the rest of our lives together. You know, I'm not just his arm candy. I'm not just here for sex. This is not just about intercourse. This is about love. This is about intimacy.
That's the key word.
Yeah, this is not just I want to have sex with you every day. Like being intimate could be just waking up and hugging each other and loving and kissing and talking and scratching the back and rubbing each other, or, you know, scrubbing you down in the shower. Like, there's way more to it when you say like being intimate. There's things that lead up to sex that when I get to you, that I love you, that I'm going to feel good, that is so pleasurable because of what you did for me during the day.
Yeah. So I'm going to go a little off script because I'm just curious what your thoughts are on just everyday stuff that's happening. So you touched on something about your certain things that you wear, that you are comfortable even wearing those things, because even when you're out with your husband, you know that he's protecting you, and, you know, and at the end of the day, you're wearing it for you and him, not for everybody else. Right. But I'm curious because obviously there is the double standard that's out there. Right. I remember I did a boudoir shoot for my husband. Right. I turned 40, and it was one of the things I went and did, and so tastefully done. One of my favorite photographers came out. I rented a room at the Derrick Hotel. Actually, me and one of my best friends, Dodge, did it together. Went and had a bunch of different outfits, and even got to the point with complete, you know, nudity and everything. But I had like these little like pasty things, you know, over my nipple areas, and I was so proud of how those pictures came out, and just being able to look at myself as a woman of 40 and be like, girl, you is a bad girl. Look at that body, you know, that type of thing. And so I took all the pictures, made them into an album, and gave them as a birthday gift to my husband. But I'm looking at my phone and I'm like, it is such a shame that I can't show these pictures still in a tasteful way, and it was more so because I was just proud of how they just came out. Right. So my husband decides, he takes one of the pictures and he puts it on his Facebook, and it was one where I had a one-piece lingerie thing on, and I was kind of on the floor of the hotel room, and I had one foot up against the wall, and I'm looking at the camera, and I got this very sultry and sexy look on. But the outfit is no different, in all honesty, than wearing a one-piece bathing suit. Right. So I'm going somewhere with this story, right? So that's what it looked like. You, other than seeing some thigh meat on the side, that's really all you saw, and arms out. But again, nothing different than if I had on a one-piece bathing suit. Okay, you couldn't see booty cheeks. You could just see a little bit of the top part of the cleavage there. That was it. He put it up there. We didn't know that his uncle back in South Carolina followed him on Facebook. He done went and told my mother-in-law, told my brother-in-law, Clark got Deanna up there and she half naked. I mean, my mother-in-law, she don't even call my husband to say anything. She passed the word through my brother-in-law. He called, talking about, done saw Deanna half naked on Facebook. And your mom over here about to have a heart attack. And why you putting a picture of Deanna out there like that? And I'm thinking to myself, I done had, in my opinion, 2-piece bathing suits on, where to me, you see way more flesh. I've taken my own picture lounging out at my pool, rolled over with booty cheeks hanging out. And so my husband immediately takes the photo down. So imagine, number one, and I know why in his mind I'm protecting you, but in my mind it almost went to shame.
Yeah.
So now I gotta feel shame. I'm a grown, and then I got pissed because I'm like, I'm a grown ass woman. Like, if my husband is comfortable with putting that picture out there, then who has the right to say anything?
Yeah.
So I lean to the side of it where Gucci Man and Keisha Kior. I think that's how you pronounce her last name. Keisha Kior, Kair, whatever her last name. You know I know you talking about. And not that I'm trying to plug anybody, but I'm making a point here. Every time you see them out and about, she is literally halfway dressed. He walks by her side of her proud and everything. And what's funny is, and this even is to my husband, it is so quick how men will say, oh my God, I cannot believe he married to her and is she out here dressing like that? And the funny thing is they don't put the onus on the man. They don't say, I can't believe that he would be okay with that.
They put on
the
her.
woman is disrespecting her man. She must not love him. What do you think about that?
So, rewind. I too had a picture posted for Halloween. I was in a cat suit with a tail, just literally a cat suit. And I was standing, I had my leg like kind of propped up. And somebody told my husband that I posted the picture, and it got back to him. And my question was, why was this any different than the 2-piece white bathing suit that I posted when I was in Nigeria, and I was turned to the side and you got to see my ass cheek, where this is where you're just seeing the front and all, you could barely see the imprint. What are we upset about? We all know what a pussy looks like. Right. So it's not like, okay, oh, here's my pussy for y'all. Like, I didn't understand that. But I definitely don't like the fact that they put it all on the woman as though the woman is being disrespectful. No, like I said, when I wear things, I don't have to go to my husband for approval, but if my husband says, babe, you look good, we rolling with it. If my husband says, you know what, that might be too much for this occasion, then I'm taking it off. But if we walking out this door and he's walking by my side, trust and believe, we're not out here trying to make our man look like no clown, like we disrespecting him or anything like that. We know we got a strong man, and that man know that he's a strong man. And so I feel like when people say those things, that it's just that they're not strong enough.
And they're insecure.
And that they're insecure. Yeah, because it's like, he's fine with it. My husband's not saying anything.
Well, let's take it a step further. Step further is this right here. So you as a woman, same situation. I posted a bathing suit pic. And it got all this attention. And my husband was furious, pissed off and mad. Okay. But then I can see that when somebody like J-Lo or Beyonce or Cardi B, any of the little ladies that he, might feel like, oh, they cute or they got a cute body, they post something that way more provocative than me. It's okay. And I've challenged him on that. I said, I'm having a hard time with this because this is the very problem that we're talking about. And his thing he wants to go to is, well, that's not my woman. That's not my woman.
And so that was going to be my response, is that they say, that's not my woman. That's not my wife.
But you are still okay with it because you over here either hitting a like button or you and your boys texting it to each other in a text message. Y'all commenting on it. Y'all kikiing about it. You're zooming in, looking at her ass, looking at her tits. You doing all of this.
But why you not proud of your wife?
But why you not proud of
your wife done had some babies?
I done gave you some human beings in this world.
Why you not proud? Like, my thing is, if somebody says something, why aren't you saying back, you know what, I'm proud of my wife and I'm glad that she looks like that. What's yours look like?
But here's the key to it. I think at the end of the day, as a secure man, like, there's some things that my girlfriends know you can't even come check me on. You know why? Because you already know Deanna's comfortable in that space. You can't come check me about real estate. Why? Because I'm comfortable in real estate. You see what I'm saying? So that's what I said. I was like, if your boys, and this wasn't to my husband, I'm just talking in general and to the camera. If your boys feel comfortable enough that they can come up and try to check you about your woman and what your woman wears and this, that, and the other, then they know you not comfortable with it. And that's a problem. That's a problem. But that's what I cannot stand. That's what is like that the nails on a chalkboard, them damn double standards.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't be over here lusting and drooling after Beyonce and J-Lo and all of them. But then when I want to wear something similar and I feel like I look better than all of them. You know what I'm saying? Like I can walk in that confidence. Don't try to dim my light.
Well, for me, because of the age difference, I've seen people say things like, she's too young. And I hate that.
And too young in what sense?
Yeah, in what sense? You know, because
like too young to be with him,
yeah,
too
like,
young.
Like because I posted this, she's too young. No, she's confident. Yeah. And I do this for him.
Right.
You know, that's who I'm with. I don't have to be here. He doesn't have to be here. But this is where we are.
Right.
So allow it to be.
Right.
Because like I said, we got the rest of our lives together.
And why do people, I mean, obviously, it's a catch-22. If you're going to be on social media and you put your stuff out there, you literally open yourself up to everybody and anybody to have an opinion.
Yes.
I get that.
Yes.
Which is why I know what to post, what not to post, what to share, and all of that, right? But at the same time, we're also in a world where that's celebrated. Like people nowadays are more wanting to be able to share, you know, how they moving in their life, how do they spend their, their days of relaxation, you know, how do they hang out with their girlfriends. And it's like when I post a lot of my stuff, it ain't got nothing to do with social media. It's also a way for me to be able to come back later on and reflect and look back, you know, because again, a picture is worth 1,000 words, right? And nobody's taking disposable camera pictures anymore and printing them out and then going back through a box and saying, oh, I remember when.
Yeah.
Everything is digital.
You know, I made the mistake of giving a damn about how people felt about me. And to this day, I still don't understand why, because I was definitely one who didn't care. But when it came to social media, I have closed down so many pages because of things that people said. And really, I'm just living in my truth. I love who I am, you know, but because they didn't love who they were and they didn't like the things that I was doing, or they felt like I should be in a different place because of what I went through, I shut it down and I pushed it away. Now I'm like, I don't care. I love who I am. I love all the things that I've been through. I love the conversations that I want to have. I love my sexuality. You know what I mean? But just because of those things does not mean that you can come to me and be like, oh, I want to get in with you and your husband, or go to my husband and be like, oh, I want to get in with your wife. Like, no, that's just for us. Right. You know, but it's definitely, it's a hard topic because that's just the way that people think. You have those conversations and then people think that they can try you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel that it's more women or men that are more critical of women and their sexuality?
I feel like it's the women.
Tell me why.
Yeah, I feel like it's the women. And maybe I've been around the wrong women, but when I tell my stories and I hear people say they don't do that and they don't know and that I'm a unicorn, that's where I feel it. That tells me right there that you're not doing no self-exploring, that you're not even wanting to learn, and that's probably some of your struggles when it comes to a relationship. And when I look back at some of these women, they are single. Still, you know, yeah, I definitely think it's the women. Yeah, it's the women.
So I feel verbally, I think it's women. I think from visual, I think it's men. Right. I had somebody come into my DM and was trying to tell me, oh, this girlfriend of yours, she probably a freak. She just that and the other. And I shut it down. And I was like, first of all, why are you looking at my girlfriends like that? Right. But I said, you know what? In preparation for this tonight, I said, you know what? I'm a poke the bear here. Right. And it was amazing how he was trying to even break down looks,
Mm-hmm.
the way they walked,
Mm-hmm.
the way they talked.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this is what y'all men are doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is how you're coming up and classifying. You have not had a conversation with this woman.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know her story. You don't know anything about her.
Mm-hmm.
But from something visual, again,
Mm-hmm.
only visual,
Mm-hmm.
he was so quick to try to tell me out of 10 of my girlfriends who was the biggest freak, who was this, who was that. And after it was all said and done, I got the data that I needed. I cut his ass at the knees, right? But I was like, wow. And then when I think back to conversations that I've either overheard even my brother. So the oldest brother, I'm the oldest, but then he's underneath us, and then underneath me, and then I've got a younger brother.
Mm-hmm.
He's very, very religious. Now, what's funny is we were raised in the church,
Mm-hmm.
but we weren't raised to be religious.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We didn't have that pushed down our throat. And my brother went through many of women. He was in college. He had the college life. He had a lot more experiences than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, he's married and got kids, and everything is, Christ this and Christ that. And I absolutely love it for him.
Mm-hmm.
I posted a picture again of one of my bathing suit ones out at my pool.
Mm-hmm.
Now I ain't even around anybody.
Right.
I'm at my house.
Right.
In the privacy of my backyard, right? And the picture was actually only from here up, right? He barely communicates with me. But he found the nerve and the courage to send me a message talking about why am I seeking attention, that this was not kingdom like. I forgot that was my brother, because honey.
Yeah.
So I do feel from a visual standpoint that men are way more critical of us women and judgmental of us women, and then I think it leads to when they feel that they have the confidence, or they're comfortable in being able to approach us a certain kind of way.
Yeah, men are definitely more visual about it. And I mean, I get that too. Like when you friend somebody online and then they're like in your inbox and like,
I can't even accept a guy just to be able to say, okay, you sent me a friend request. And even on Facebook, I'll look to see how many connections do we have. Like if we don't have a lot of connections, then I don't accept it. But if we got a ton, my mind is, because if you start talking slick out your mouth, then I got some people that we both know to be able to go and say, yo, you need to get your boy. Let me take, right? But the sad thing is my husband's all over my page. You'd have to be living under a rock to know that I'm not married to Paul Green, the Lord of Lindy. Like you would literally have to be living under a rock. And I still get the, hey, beautiful, how you doing? I just want to get to know you. What? Block.
Yeah, I get that too. And block.
And I'll be over there talking about, what in any of my posts made you, what did I post that made you feel comfortable, that you completely overlooked? I got a whole husband.
Yes.
Right? And you still felt comfortable. And I started checking myself, girl.
Yeah.
What they saying that you're not seeing?
Yeah. And you know what? This page that they do it on, I don't even have bathing suit pics and things like that on there. It's just like, hey, I see a beautiful woman. Like, it's almost like, oh, I just want to fuck. It's like, what?
Yeah, that part.
Like, why? Yeah, you just can't be. You can't be you. You can't be beautiful. You can't love yourself. You can't show yourself off. You can't be proud of the body that you worked hard for. We work hard in the gym when we do go.
Right.
We work hard and we be proud about that. Yeah, no, they don't.
Or for some people, it could even be just genetics. I got a couple of girlfriends that ain't never hit no gym, but genetically,
they look good.
They look good.
Yeah, they look
right?
Good.
Right?
Yeah.
Them are some of the women I hate, ain't gonna lie. I'm like, damn, I got to go work for this right here. Right? It just comes natural. No, I'm just joking. Guys, I want to thank my special guest, Miss Tania Jordan. And listen, Let's Be Raw is all about, again, these real, raw, and authentic conversations. It's only going to get better. We're almost finished with season 1. And you got any last parting words that you want to tell the community?
Thank you for having me. I definitely appreciate this space to be able to come and have this conversation. However, the next time I have this conversation, we're talking toys.
Ooh, y'all hear that? I
So
told
stay
y'all, I
tuned.
told y'all.
We're talking toys.
Again, guys, we want to thank y'all for sticking and staying with us. Also, we're going to end this video with our other sponsor, which is Knock Knock. It is a digital business card on steroids. Make sure you take a look at the video. Sign up for your digital business card. We have a free version and a $4.99 a month, which gets you a lot more features out of it. Now, next week's episode is My Brother's Keeper, Sisterhood, Justice, and the Battle for Their Freedom with our amazing guest, Mr. Ray Scott. Y'all stay tuned, guys. Lock in, and we'll see you on the next episode of Let's Be Raw. Peace out.
Have you ever wondered how to keep up with the pace of our rapidly evolving world? How to seize the opportunities that are often fleeting in today's fast-paced lifestyle? Introducing Knock Knock, the digital solution designed to help you connect in even the most frenzied environments. Whether you find yourself in the midst of a bustling conference, navigating the chaos of an airport, or immersed in the vibrant city nightlife, Knock Knock empowers you to make connections seamlessly. With just a simple tap, you can integrate contacts instantly, ensuring no opportunity slips through your fingers. But Knock Knock isn't just about networking. It's about bridging the gap between your various brands. With Knock Knock, switching between your brands becomes as effortless as a single tap. No more navigating through endless web links or scanning QR codes. Knock Knock is the app that brings networking and e-commerce into the palm of your hand, making connections, making sales, and managing your brands effortless and instantaneous. Welcome to the revolution of technology and networking, brought to you by the Knight & Group Technologies division. With Knock Knock, the power to connect is just a tap away.